Hi, everyone. It's Kate Byars, founder of Corporate Women Unleashed, coming to you live today to talk about the number one reason that so many highly successful women are stuck in a gilded cage. And it's going to be a bit of a surprise to you because what we normally think of a gilded cage is our companies, right? Our bosses, the environments that we're in, the stress and pressure of our job. And that's really, really, really not true. What we're seeing over and over again is that women can thrive and survive in highly demanding environments that could be toxic, that are male oriented. It doesn't matter. You can thrive and have incredible quality of a private life if you understand a few things. And what I want to talk about today, because this comes up a lot with the very ambitious women that we work with, is emotional fortitude. You need to have a deeper knowledge of your emotional states. Now, the way we normally talk about emotion when it comes to women in the professional world is, women are seen as either too emotional, right? Or we're supposed to be emotionally stoic and like the men and lack emotion. It's not what we're talking about, okay? Emotional fortitude, emotional self-knowledge means you are understanding your emotional states and what they mean to you. Because if you don't understand your emotional states, what happens is you're going to use a lot of energy towards things that you don't need to put energy towards, right? So what happens when we're using a lot of energy in areas that don't really matter? We're exhausted. We feel like we're running from one thing to the next. We can't disconnect. If you can't disconnect, you're going home and your mind is still active. Your mind is still on. You're still thinking about work. And this is very, very key. I think all women in general have an issue with, we're multitasking, we're doing too much. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking specifically with highly ambitious, highly successful women, executive women, women are in leadership roles, professional women. We're really ambitious. You know who you are. You're driven, right? And you love your work and you love creating your work. However, it's taking a toll on your private life. Okay, so what is this emotional fortitude? What is one of the things that used to happen to me? I'll just give myself as an example to be really transparent. Is I would be on these emotional highs and lows. When work was going well and I felt super on top of things, I was emotionally high. I was excited. I was on top of the world. I loved my life. I loved my job. And then all of a sudden something would come up. I would bite off more than I could chew. I would be asked to do more. I would be given really tough assignments by my boss, by the leadership team. I would be given a promotion. And then all of a sudden I would start to freak out, right? Some sort of challenge would come its way. And then I would just go into emotional overdrive. I would become anxious. I would become frenetic. I would become hyper-focused. I would become grouchy. Nothing could matter except for I had to get on top of this task, whatever it was, the new promotion, the intense project. A lot of times what we will also do, so to back up. So what that is these emotional highs and lows are exhausting. They're exhausting for you. If you have a partner or a spouse, they're exhausting for your partner. They're exhausting for your children because what's happening, you're going home one day and being super nice and super relaxed and super chilled. And then the next day you're coming home probably late and you're grouchy and you're exhausted and you're telling everyone to get away from me and you need to understand my job's so difficult. And there's these emotional highs and lows. That is the gilded cage, right? That is what exhausts you. That's what leads to burnout. That's what leads to this disillusionment of, oh my God, like, is this ever going to get any easier? Even though you're climbing very high up in the corporate ladder or whatever profession you have, a doctor, an attorney, whatever. You're like, I'm at the pinnacle of my career. I'm in a very senior position. Shouldn't this get easier? But it doesn't feel that way, right? Because you're having these emotional highs and lows. So what happens, and the reason this happens, is that the high achieving women, one of the things that drives us is the need to succeed. So what's the opposite of success? Failure, right? So we have a deep-seated, very, very old pattern of beliefs about failure that were given to us as children. Whether or not we were praised a lot for, getting A's and A pluses, whether or not we went to a very stringent, rigorous school that demanded a lot of us. We were given all this external validation by what we produced, and there was very, very little room for failure. And because of sort of our DNA and how highly driven women have adapted to our environment, we take that like to 11, right? So we've taken whatever feedback we've gotten and we take it to 11 and we're like, there is no failure, absolutely failure. I used to say this all the time, failure is not an option. Well, if failure is not an option, guess what's going to come with that? A lot of festering. And it doesn't mean you have to go out and fail. It doesn't mean you do sloppy work. But what it means is there's such a fear of failure that we will underestimate how much time it takes to do something. Like you might be really infamous for saying, oh yeah, I'll have that done in a couple of days. And then a couple of days come up and you're like, oh my God, I'm freaking out. I still haven't had a chance to, even look at this project, let alone get started on it. You may be exceptionally hard on your team. You may get frustrated with them very easily. Why are they not as sharp as you? Why did they not get things done as quickly as you? Again, what's underlying of that is a fear of failure and a very strong drive for constant success. So what happens is we go home at night or throughout the day, we're having all these little upsets where we're frustrated with people, we're frustrated with our situation, we're feeling behind, we're feeling overwhelmed, we're overcommitted, we're under-resourced, and we're doing a lot of this to ourselves, right? And some of it's happening environmentally, and we don't know how to navigate that, and that's for a different live, and we'll talk about that at some other point in the broadcast. But so it's not just about putting up boundaries, it's not just about your environment, it's learning how to have emotional fortitude and say, wait a minute, what's really going on here? Right? Instead of having emotional highs and lows, you don't have to be stoic and lack emotion. But what you have to do is be able to say, wait, there's a challenge in front of me. How do I feel about it? Let me process that emotion. And then what needs to objectively happen here? Do I need to take on this project? Do I need to go have a difficult conversation with someone? Do I need to fire someone? Do I need to tell my boss some news that he or she may not want to hear? And when that comes in a situation where you can be honest emotionally, hey, look, I have some bad news. It's not something I'm very comfortable to talk about. In fact, I really regret that I'm having to have this conversation. But here's the deal. That is emotionally open. That's emotionally available. There's no internal fear of failure there. There's no judgment there. It's just, I'm being really honest about my emotional state. And I'm telling you, this is what's going on. At the same time, what happens with a lot of high achieving women is we have these emotional highs and lows. So what will happen is you will emotionally shut down perhaps during the day. Let's just say something happens, you're criticized in a meeting, or you feel jealous or competitive with someone else, and then you just emotionally clam up. People can see that, right? People can see that you're emotionally distanced. They see that you're frozen. They see that you've closed yourself off. They see that, right? And then you're not seen as I don't want to say that is evolved the right word. Maybe that is, is really senior and sophisticated and as impactful as you could be, because people can tell when you're emotionally tweaked, right? I mean, people can see that even though you think you're hiding it. Everyone can see that shield has gone up. The other thing that can happen is that, we may run off and run to the bathroom in tears. Like that's happened before. It's happened to me. Or you go to your car and you're crying the whole way home, or you're getting home at night when you can finally relax, you're in your shower, like having that ugly, jagged cry. That is not when we have emotional fortitude. That is when our emotions are getting the best of us. Not that it's not okay to cry, not that it's not okay to have emotions, but when it's gotten to the point where it's uncontrollable in that way and it's based on stress, that's something that can be mitigated. Now, obviously, if your dog gets run over by a car and you're crying, that's obviously we're going to cry, and you should, right? Like that's tragic. But if you're stressed out at work, if you're feeling overwhelmed, those types of things can be mitigated, and it actually makes us behave in ways that are much more junior, much less influential, much less impactful. And it really puts you inside that gilded cage where you just feel exhausted, trapped. We had a group of clients once, they asked me, they said, Kate, what was it finally for you that got you to just make these really dramatic changes in yourself so you could like have a life of freedom? And I said, I got so tired of living on my knees. And I don't mean that in a good way, like in a spiritual way. I mean, like, I just constantly felt like I was on this high, and then my knees got, my legs got cut up from underneath me, and then I'm on this high, and then your legs get cut. And so many of our highly successful clients will share that. It's not easy to share that because it feels like a weakness, but it's just a reality for highly driven women. We don't know how to process our emotions. We don't have emotional fortitude. We're either clammed up tight, we're either on a roller coaster, we're having these really strong emotions, right, left, and down deep, it really comes based on ego, based on fear of failure, based on the strong attachment that our value is wrapped up in success instead of who we are. And those are the things we really have to solve for. Years ago, as I was researching and learning and studying how, very few, but how some highly successful people just seem to like glide right through life and don't seem to feel, traumatized and trapped in this state of sacrifice and stress. And I thought that's so remarkable. And as what I was studying about them, what I observed is that they're just very emotionally comfortable with themselves. And that's not confident, because you can be highly confident. I have always been confident in my work and who I was. Emotionally comfortable with themselves. You know, if someone else is mad at them, or if someone else is challenging them, or if there's a big ugly mess or fire or something they've got to deal with, they just like kind of just glide right through it. And that's what it's like when you have emotional fortitude. You just go, okay, great. Here's a challenge. Okay, wow, this person's upset with me. Let's go see what's going on. Let's have a conversation and investigate, because it's not personal, right? It's not personal. It's not indicative that you've done something wrong. It's not indicative that you're going to fail. You're just able to live a life free of stress and anxiety, not free of fear. Fear always happens to us. There's always big, scary things that we have to conquer and come out in front of us in our big, huge jobs, and that's cool. But it's how you process that and how you move through it that makes the difference between feeling trapped, stressed, you know, in a gilded cage, in a trade-off situation where you're ready just to walk away from it all, and feeling just like, yeah, this is who I am. I've got absolute control. I've got absolute empowerment. I got this. And now I'm ready for the next promotion. And now I'm ready to go, whatever, play with my kids. Now I'm going to go home and walk my dog. Now I'm going to go to the opera, you know, whatever it is that you like to do. It should feel like that. It should just feel like emotional freedom. You should just feel like you're in flow, and you should just be on top of it. And really, you know, high achieving people who are in the top 1% of all people who understand this, they live extraordinary lives of freedom. And that's really what we're here to do. We're here to teach everyone how to do that, so we can change the paradigm away from, you know, success and wealth needs suffering, to success and wealth is just something that you're capable of doing, and you do it and you enjoy a really cool life. Like, it should be that simple. It's really not that hard. The hardest part, I would say, excuse me, for most women, especially the women we talk to, is making that decision to be that woman, to be someone who's going to be exceptional, and to be the rarity instead of following the herd. What we see very often is women saying, oh, that sounds nice, but, you know, maybe next year. And it's like, when is it? Next year to live an extraordinary life, next year to have that level of freedom and control. There is no next year. You know, really, really decisive women, they make a decision on the spot that they're going to have the life that they deserve and they want, and they won't settle for anything less. And I think that's the biggest piece, that if there's anything, any gift I could ever give anyone in any sort of training or broadcast or anything, is that you got to decide. You got to decide that it's worth it to you and that you'll do what it takes. Because we always say to everyone we talk to on the phone, it's not easy. It is not easy to shift a lot of those internal habits and processes that you've built up over the years. But when you do, it's magic. It's like butter, just like butter. So listen, again, my name is Kate Byars, founder of Corporate Women Unleashed. Really happy that you guys joined me on this broadcast. If you have any questions, just post them in the comments below. Even if this isn't, you know, by the time you see this broadcast, if it's older, that's okay. We still track all those things. We're happy to chat with you. If you're a highly successful woman and you are unhappy, you are not fulfilled, you are thinking of stepping back and leaving the impact and the audaciousness of your job, please don't. Please give us a call first. Let us talk to you. Let us see what's going on. Let us help guide you, give you a game plan. Obviously, if we can help you, we'll tell you and show you how. If not, we'll get you to another resource. But again, book a call with us and we'll chat then. For the rest of you, thank you so much for tuning in. Please share this. Please leave a comment, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.